It's time for Paying It Forward with Josephine Gerasi. Everyone has learned lessons in life during their lifetime. Some good, some bad. But from everyone, there has been something learned. And now it's time to share that knowledge. It's called Paying It Forward. Here, these lessons learned are then paid forward to you, with you paying it forward too. Josephine put her professional career on hold after the birth of her first child and turned her attention to being a full-time mother. Well, 3 kids later, Josephine started her own company, MyMomKnowsBest.com and Glovies, but was dismayed by a lack of information that people would share to help entrepreneurs be successful. That's where Paying It Forward was born. This is Paying It Forward on TradingNet.com. And now, here's your host, Josephine Gerasi.
Well, welcome everyone. It's Josephine here, and I'm very excited about my show today. It's going to be a really great, informative show. You'll definitely want to take out, your notebook and your pen and get ready to take lots of notes, because today is going to be a show that is going to be full of business tips. I have a wonderful guest, Chris Whalen, and as discussed on last week's show, I decided to do a part 2 with Chris because I thought his information was so on target that I couldn't possibly pull all the information out of him that I wanted to in one show. So I decided to invite him back for a second show. And we've also, divided the show into the 4 different segments. And what we're going to do is the first segment of the show is going to be 5 tips on how to be super productive. The second segment of the show will be 5 tips on how to be a good parent so you can be a good business owner. The third segment is going to be 5 tips on marketing, and then we'll wrap up our show the way we do every show with it 5 general business tips. So before we get started, I thought I'll start with my business tip of the week, which is all about networking. With the holidays fast approaching, I'm sure many of you will be going to holiday parties, even if it's at a neighbor's house or a business event, whatever it is. Just my suggestion is just try to be as genuine as possible. Be yourself. You don't have to give a sales pitch about your company, but, people are genuinely interested in knowing how other people spend their days. So networking is super important. Get out there, go have fun this holiday season, and just be real genuine and talk to people about your business. Let them know what you're doing. If you have a question about something and they have an expertise in the area, don't be shy. Just get out there, because the more people that know about what you're doing, word of mouth is truly amazing. You'll end up, going, you never know, you can go to the next level. You never know who you're speaking to. So that's my business tip of the week. So with that, let me give a quick bio for Christopher Whalen. So Chris is a national speaker on parenting and family financial issues. He is available to, great. So yes, he's available to speak to your group. He has 3 children who are now adults and flourishing in all areas of their lives, which is great. And we learned a little bit about the fact that Chris is a certified public accountant. He owns and manages his own accounting and consulting firm in New Jersey. He specializes in family financial matters and works with collaborative legal teams toward peaceful divorce resolutions. His volunteer work includes mentoring fathers, prisoner reentry programs, and mentoring at-risk youth. So with that, let's welcome Chris Whalen back to Paying It Forward. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Josephine. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing fine so far.
Could we possibly top last week's show, Chris? Do you think this is possible?
I hope so. I feel like this is Back to the Future 2. I hope it's Hope it's as good as the first one, to be honest with you.
Well, I have to tell you, I got such great positive feedback from last week's show, but I'm sitting here with notes in front of me for today's show, and I think we're actually going to top last week's show. So I'm very, very excited about it. So Chris, tell me, let's just hop right to it. I mean, today's show is going to be all about business tips, and I think anybody who can tune in, even just for a few minutes, is going to walk away with some great information. So with that, I just want to go straight to our tips. You know, when we broke it down into the 4 categories, I'm always interested as a business owner on how we can function on a daily basis in the most productive way we possibly can, because we're juggling so many things, you know, especially, you know, stay-at-home moms or stay-at-home dads. We're handling the household, we're handling the children, and trying to run successful businesses. So I'm always curious about how to be super productive. So with that, let's go right into your great 5 business tips on how to be productive. The first one you say is do not have alerts for new emails. Tell us about that, Chris.
Well, it's very important to keep your train of thought, keep your flow going when you're working. A lot of people have alerts on their phone or their computer for new emails, and I think that's a mistake. I never do that. I want to get to a point a few times a day where I check my email, I address my emails, but that's one of the most important things that I find people, they lose so much productivity because they're allowing an email that comes in to disturb them and distract them, and it really ruins the flow of the day. So, for example, also within that, we have to pick the most effective way to respond to an email. When we check them, sometimes if you can make a call instead of emailing, it really has a personal touch to it. So try to remember that you can text someone also. There's different ways to respond to emails that might make you more productive and help with your marketing. I do that all the time. I quite often make a phone call to answer a question, and people really appreciate that.
Great. Okay. I love that. And that personal aspect is super, super important. So I agree with you, Chris, because, you know, even in my business, so often the phone doesn't ring like it used to years ago. It's all email. And when the phone does ring, it's kind of like, oh, wow, there really are human beings out there, and it's nice to touch base. I don't know. It's very isolating sometimes, you know, working from your home office. Well, that's a great tip. All right, let's go on to number 2. Put out fires immediately. Tell us about that.
Well, when something happens that's out of the normal course, a customer has an issue, has a problem, I like to put that at the top of my priority list above everything else, because that is the most important time to retain that client. So that's the quick advice there, is I am always addressing the most urgent needs first, and I find that makes customer satisfaction and allegiance to me is astronomical then, and they really appreciate it.
Okay. I like that. I think that's super important. And is there a way to manage, like, is every day a fire drill, Chris? Like, how can we manage it to make sure that things don't get out of control and we always kind of pull back to our daily? I personally think it's got a lot to do with routines, but what do you think to that?
Well, my to-do list or my fire list is separate from my calendar. Very important. I really separate the two. So the night before, I look at my calendar, but I also have a priority to-do list or this fire list, I call it. So writing it down, keeping a master to-do list of emergency items separate from your calendar so you can reference it is very significant. Don't commingle it with your calendar.
Okay, love it.
Because a fire has no event time. A fire has no right. That's the analogy, right? A fire has to be put out as soon as possible. I don't need to know it's 9:00 tomorrow morning. So there is no calendar event for an emergency.
Perfect. Okay, love it. The third one is, let's say, delegate the clerical functions, which we talked about last week, which is so important.
Yes, it's a big mistake that entrepreneurs make is that they're performing clerical functions when they should be out selling or servicing their customers. So it's very simple. If something doesn't immediately make you money or earn you a sale, such as your daily bookkeeping, try to delegate to someone else, pay a college intern, for example, to do that for you, or a high school person or someone in your family.
Okay, very good. We just mentioned tip number 4, which is prioritize your day the night before. I agree with you so much on this, Chris. So many of my customer guests on my show bring this up as one of their top business tips. And it seems that those that really prioritize and write their list the night before are so much more successful. What do you think about that?
I agree 100%. There's nothing more important than understanding what's in front of us from a calendar or for what's in front of us in terms of emergency work we need to do, getting that ready the night before, digesting it. We wake up in the morning really prepared. We've rested on it. It's really psychological. If I can do that the night before, I'm really ready. I'm formulating things in my mind as I sleep to address those things. I'm much more prepared the day before to take those things on.
It's so funny, Chris, because I sleep better the night before when I feel that I've got everything written down and know exactly how to hit the ground running when I wake up in the morning. So great tip. And we have just a minute left to our first segment. So let's be quick with this, but this is a really important one. Tip number 5 is maintain peace in your personal space. Tell us about that.
Well, I find in my management and training consulting work that negative personal relationships and issues are sometimes a huge factor impacting business owners' effectiveness at work. I urge everyone to self-observe and take a clear and honest look at who and what they allow in their personal space. If your personal space and life is not peaceful, your ability to maximize your business success is limited.
Oh my. That's so important. I know with me personally, if anything is happening that's just off in my household, whether it be my kids, with anything, I remember my son didn't make one of his sports team and was absolutely devastated. It broke my heart so much. It was so hard for me to really just want to dive into work and do my best. So I think you're so right. Maintain.
But remember that there's things. One last thing. A lot of people are making conscious choices to keep negative things. What's happening with your son is sort of out of your hands. A lot of people I meet, I teach them to.
Right. All right. We'll come back and we'll talk more about that after the break. We'll be right back, everyone. Thanks so much.
Right after these on TogiNet.com.
Familia, faith, identity, tradición. Latina life is never boring, but it can be muy dramática. So how do you coexist between the old school ways of la abuela and the new school life you're creating for yourself without losing your faith, familia, identity, or tradiciones? Welcome to Living Latina with Francesca Escoto, where culture curls and curves collide in one spicy cross-cultural conversation that will leave you begging for más. Francesca tackles all the important issues, from politics to family values, to religion to, you guessed it, relationships and men. As Chief Everything Officer at the Wow Factor, Francesca is passionate about showing women of all cultures, ages, and lifestyles how to rock what they've got with style, sass, and smarts. Be sure to join her every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time for Living Latina, only on the Woohoo Radio Network.
This is the TogiNet Radio Network, radio with a cutting edge.
This is Buzz Local Radio. We have the 3 topics here, and we just added a 4th. We just started talking about hot dogs.
Yes. Yep, man.
He's in the band. We both had guitars, so I went over to his house Christmas Day day.
We had to start a band.
And I think we wrote 4 or 5 songs that afternoon.
And Cannibalistic Fish was one of them.
Cannibalistic Fish.
I couldn't do the dreads. My mom would not let me wear my pants backwards to school either. That was wiggity whack. Yeah.
Buzz Local Radio, available for free download on toginet.com. That's TOGINET.com.
Welcome back to Paying It Forward, the show dedicated to helping every entrepreneur be more successful as we discuss accomplishments, lessons learned, and sharing those ideas. Now, let's get back to Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi on toginet.com.
Well, welcome back, everyone. It's Josephine here. We have Chris Whalen, who's an incredible CPA. And Chris is going to give us information on how you can contact him a little later on in the show. So, Chris, thanks for those great, super productive tips that you had given us. We were wrapping up with maintain peace in your personal space. And I'm sorry you got a little cut off with the commercial there. So did you want to add anything else on that?
Just the last thing would be, just really self-observe, and most of my clients, when they have a struggle that they're going through and business is not working how they want, a lot of times there's a personal issue that is not resolved for them, so they can't focus on their business day. So try to be honest with yourself. It's very hard, personal relationships, so you might have to eliminate certain people from your space. That's what I've done. If they're hurting your productivity for your family and your business, you might need to make some personal changes in order to be a successful business owner.
Okay, I think that's great. So this segment, we will move on to 5 business tips on how to be a good parent so you can be a good business owner. I love this, Chris, because a lot of times I feel that if the household runs smoothly and our children are kind of on a really good track, I'm crazy about routines in my house. We have morning routines, we have after school routines, and we have before bedtime routines. I feel that if my kids can stay on track as much as possible, it allows me more time to do what I need to do in the office, and the house runs so smoothly. So I know this is going to be a great segment. So we'll move right into the first business tip. Schedule an after-school quick FaceTime video chat with each of them just to talk lightly about their day. Tell us about that.
Well, if someone's not at home and they're working outside the house, and this is our first available time since breakfast sometimes, or even before that, to talk to them. So I want to see them. I want to tell them I love them. I don't want it to be an interrogation. I don't want to know specifics. I just want to say, I love you. I'm here. Tell me how your day was. Give me some highlights of your day and how are you? It's really just a check-in because kids have a lot of stress today. A school day is very difficult, and I want them to know that I'm here for them. I'm here to support them, and again, I can't wait to come home and make dinner with them, which is my next tip.
Great. I have to tell you, I love the fact that you acknowledge the fact that school is stressful for kids. It's so different, Chris, from when we were growing up. You know, we kind of went to school, did our best, came home, had a little bit of homework, and that was the end of it. It's so different for our kids now today. It's crazy. I mean, I had my son in the car taking him to a practice the other day, and he and his friend were talking back and forth, and one was saying to the other, I can't believe you only got a 94. What happened? What question did you get wrong? And I'm sitting there driving the car laughing, Chris. I was like, are you kidding me? Isn't a 94 good enough? But anyway, so tell us about tip number 2.
Well, tip number 2 is cook and eat dinner together, electronics free, and that includes you, the business owner. Limit takeout dinners to once per week. The real reason for this is to have uninterrupted family discussions about everyone's day. It's some of the best time to sit down together and have uninterrupted general conversation at dinner. Some of the best times I've had with my kids since my divorce in '97, having half the time and all the weekend time. So that's one of the best things we've ever done together, and it's good for everyone. So that's number one. You want to connect with your children, cooking and eating together, electronics free is tip number 2.
I think that's great. And I have to tell you, my listeners know I have 3 young kids. And it's kind of funny when the kids, especially the boys, come home from school and get off the bus. How was your day? It's always a one-word response. Good, good, good. So everybody washes up. They have their little snack. They get started with their homework. We sit down at dinner. And Chris, my kids are fighting as to who can talk and tell the family about their day. I'm like, wait a second, what just happened? And when my kids were really little, the way I started to get them engaged was I used to always say to my boys, so did anybody have to go to the principal's office today? And it's not because I wanted to know, it was just to get the conversation rolling. So I think you're so right. And I really do cherish that time as well. It's a feel good for everybody, I think, and it's that connection. So love that tip. We'll move on to tip number 3. Enter all school events in your business calendar as soon as the school year starts. I think this is brilliant. Tell us about that.
Well, as business owners, we tend to be a little more flexible with our time. And even if you're not a business owner, we definitely have time we can take off. So I always took my kids' school calendar and put it in my calendar with a separate entry with different colors. So I can know when they're going to be off. I can plan a day off. I have a planned sick day, if you will. So plan those things ahead of time. There are many days off, many vacations. So there's no better time to connect. A lot of people get too caught up in their calendar when they realize in the morning they're going to work, oh, I didn't know Timmy was going to be off today. So take their calendar, put all the events in, all the days off in, so you can have that as part of your planning and look for those special entries in your calendar. I've done that since my kids were young.
This is great. So, Chris, tell us real quick, what kind of calendar do you use? Do you use the hard one? I'm sure you use your phone calendar, right?
Well, I use Google all the time, so I'm a Google Apps person.
Right.
So I use my Gmail calendar, which is integrated with everything, my tablet, my Chromebook, phone, and, of course, on any browser I'm in. So I use a Gmail calendar for everything.
Okay, I had a feeling about that. And I feel so bad because I know I should be doing the same, but I'm such a visual person. I feel like I need to have that book in front of me. But maybe you can convince me otherwise, Chris. I think I have to up the ante with my calendar scheduling. But I will tell you one thing that I do for the family. It's called Cozy Calendar. Do you know Cozy at all?
I've definitely heard of it, yes. Yeah, tell everyone about that.
Yeah, I really love it because, with the 3 kids involved in so many different sports and activities and music and all this stuff, it is a calendar online that the entire family gets a password for it, and it's all color coordinated, and it's just really quick and easy at a glance. You can see who has to be where, when. And it's great because if my husband's busy at work or whatever, he just dials right into that and he'll know, well, Tuesday night I'm at religion with the kids. Well, he'll text me and say, do you need me to pick up? Or it's really a very helpful calendar also, especially when kids are involved. So that's Cozy. COZI, Cozy Calendar. So it's just a great little tip there. All right. Tip number 4, schedule daily one-on-one time to discuss the kids' day. Tell us about that.
Well, after dinner, when, of course, homework's going to be done, I just like to spend a couple of minutes with each of them about, what homework's due. I like to go over their to-do list, which I've also been trying to keep with them, maybe in a Cozy calendar, for example. I just want to have some personal time. There might be things we want to discuss. There might be some things that the kids need to discuss personally or privately with me that they don't want to discuss at the dinner table. So this goes along with your thought about wanting to be ready for your business day and you sleep better. So this is where I want to be at the same place with my kids. I want to know where they are. I want to know what emergencies they might have tomorrow, what fires they need to put out. I want to help them go through that so they're ready for their day. So I can go to sleep as a father and feel for my children I'm prepared for the morning, just like I am for business. A very similar mindset with me. Too many parents go to sleep. Too many parents go to sleep at night. They know a lot more about their staff and their business, very little about their children, and that's a very big mistake.
I love that tip. And, I think we feel the same way. If we're successful in business and something falls through the cracks with our kids, I don't care if I just won one of my biggest accounts in the history of my business, that my child having slipped through the cracks would upset me so much more than getting that one huge account. So I think it's so important to really, my kids come first. I don't know if that's the best thing to say on air right now, Chris.
Oh, no, of course, no. My main vocation is fatherhood, and everyone knows that. There's nothing that'll come before that, and it should be that way. I agree with you 100%.
Okay, and the last business tip that we have here, business tip number 5 for how to be a good parent so you can be a good business owner, is put your children's to-dos on your to-do list to keep track. Tell us about that.
Right, and that's not just scheduled things like football or dance or gymnastics. This is more, so the kids have a to-do list for their classes, when are reports due, when are certain exams coming up. So I work with them. I have a Google Calendar, for example, or would with them, that also so they can learn. I can teach them how to do this. So I can also help them and be prepared. So sometimes teenagers aren't really ready. They don't realize they have a report due on Wednesday, and it might not be okay to go out this weekend. So it lets you check up on them without the arguments happening when things are too late. So it lets you prod them, keep them in tune with the schoolwork as well as their social lives. So you want to get all of that information from them in terms of what's due and when. Get every syllabus for every class. At the beginning of each year, I personally call and correspond with every teacher to let them know that, one, I'm the main educator of my child and that we're working together. And I expect them to let me know what's due, what's happening also directly. And I find it's very effective. Have oversight on the teacher. Because if you do that, your kids get more attention, and they're going to be more on top of their game for your child.
I agree with you 100% there, because teachers want to know that the parents are there supporting them as well. And it just all becomes a win-win situation. So these were great tips. Everyone stay with us because we have a lot more business tips to share with us. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with more Paying It Forward with Josephine Gerasi right after these on TogiNet.com. Information about book publishing is power. The power to change your authoring life and the power to change the lives of your readers. So join us for Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific. You'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now. As the book shepherd, Dr. Judith Briles is in. And each week, she will include publishing professionals that will reveal tips and secrets to the author's journey. If there is a book in you want to listen, learn, and yes, call in with your questions each week. For more on Judith and what she can do for you, check out her website, thebookshepherd.com. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by Author You and The Book Shepherd with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific.
Equipped with the right skills, knowledge, and most of all the right questions, you too could have the success you're looking for. Join Laura Atchison as she hosts the Entrepreneur Masterclass each Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's been said success comes from not only what you know, but who you know. But what if you don't have access to the top experts? Well, that has changed. Laura Atchison, best-selling author, international speaker, and business strategist, brings you top experts from all around the world to help you take your business and your life to new heights. Join Laura for the Entrepreneur Masterclass every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the All Business Radio Network.
Welcome back to Paying It Forward, the show dedicated to helping every entrepreneur be more successful, as we discuss accomplishments, lessons learned, and sharing those ideas. Now, let's get back to Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi on TogiNet.com.
Well, welcome back, everyone. It's Josephine here, and I have Chris Whalen with us today. He's a CPA and an author. So we're going to get to hear more about Chris's book in just a little while. So this segment, we are going to concentrate on 5 tips on marketing. You know, marketing is so important. It doesn't matter how good your product or service is if nobody knows about it. So marketing is super important. So Chris, let's start with marketing tip number 1. Market from the customer. Let's talk about that.
Well, all too often, product and service development is started from the wrong direction. I try to see all my potential products or services through my customers' eyes, their needs and their wants, and never through my own vision. And this takes a lot of practice. No matter how successful you are, the customer always knows best, and they must guide all new product and service developments. It's that simple.
It's brilliant. And I'll tell you, a perfect example was my Glovies product. My original product was for potty training. They were mittens. I thought it was a brilliant product, and a lot of people thought so too. But it was a really hard sell. And what happened was my phone was ringing from people asking me, well, can kids bake with the gloves? Can kids paint with the gloves? Are they gloves or are they mittens? And all of a sudden, the light bulb went off, and I said, why am I spinning my wheels here? Why don't I give the customer exactly what they're looking for? And I took my whole list from all these different people that called, and I created my one product, which is now, I'm happy to say is a home run. So you're so right. Listen to the customer and give the customer what they're asking for. So I think that's brilliant. Tip number 2 for marketing, cultivate your client base. Tell us about that.
Well, a happy customer is one of the best sources of a new happy customer. I mean, it's one of the hottest leads that you have available. And so there are many ways, and I teach this in my consulting practice. How do we cultivate your base? How do we get people to refer you? And remember, the mistake that's made here is people think they did a good job. They put the tire on your car, they changed your oil, and that's going to give this person the impetus to recommend you, but that's expected. So we need to go out, do outreach, have customers, teach them how to refer us also. As I said before last week, people don't know how to refer, although they want to. So take the time to cultivate your base, discuss with them, discuss that you want them to refer you. And just by opening up the conversation, you'll be amazing the amount of new business you can get.
Yeah, I think you're so right. And I think it's so important. Just ask for the business. Ask for the referral. And so many people, like you said, just take it for granted that, they'll just refer somebody when, meanwhile, you know what? I'll give you a perfect example of that was I had purchased Cutco. Do you know Cutco knives,
Yeah.
Chris? Okay.
Yeah.
So I had this young girl come to my house, and she's, trying to sell me these knives and kitchen stuff. And meanwhile, my husband's in the business. So did I really need anything? No. Although I have to tell you, my favorite kitchen utensil is the Cutco scissors. But the reason why, she did such a great presentation. She's a young college kid. And she cut a penny with my scissors. They're amazing, honestly, Chris. You could ask my kids. I love my scissors. But anyway, the reason why I'm telling you this is she did not leave my house without she gave me a blank sheet of paper and asked me to refer 5 friends. And let me tell you, the 5 friends I gave her, as referrals, every single one of them must have spent over $500 on kitchen utensils. So she did not leave my house without those referrals. And I think that's so, so smart. Okay. Sorry about the phone here. Okay, so we'll move right along. Where are we, Chris? So we're going to go to tip number 3, marketing tip number 3. Chris, of course, that has to be the school calling, right? But that's okay. All right, tip number 3 is research your influencers and teach them how and when to recommend you. Tell us about that.
This is a very neglected part of marketing plans. A quick example is, let's say you have a plumbing company. One of your best ways to get new business is to be marketing to general contractors in your area. Understand they're the people that can give you a lot of business once they get to know you. So people neglect marketing to influencers. Like me as a CPA, there are many lawyers that give me business. Real estate agents give me business. But that's because I've cultivated that relationship, and they've grown to see that I'm someone who is a value added to their practices. So this is, of course, a whole day's worth of seminars understanding this. But if you aren't really having people recommend you who aren't clients but who can influence people to come to you, really try to take some time and research who are the top 10 people who could be giving you business every day but aren't right now.
Hi, Miss President. Can I call you back in 1 second? I'm just on my live radio show. Okay, thanks. Bye. Okay, bye. Chris, are you there?
All right, so I'm here. I heard you. It's okay. So we
that
just finished on
that was a school nurse. Sorry about that, everybody. Okay, go ahead.
All right, so we finished about the influencers, and we're going to go on to number 4. My tip on marketing is this is very important. Tweet and share only original content, and not too often. Sharing other content is quickly ignored. It's an epidemic out there. I would rather my customers, my clients, do 2 original posts each week and repost a few times than repost someone else's content 100 times. So I believe that Twitter should have only 1 day a week where you can retweet anything. There should be 1 day, and LinkedIn too, where 4 days a week it should be all original, effective content, or don't send it to me. So I find I tweet rarely. I do effective memos to my base. Thousands of people now that get my memos, and they're targeted memos. Sometimes you don't open them. They don't apply to you. There's no bait and switch. So people want effective. They want to know you as an effective person with an expertise or a great product, and you can instill that. But if you inundate them with other people's posts, you just become part of this fog. And you don't want to be part of the fog. You want to be a targeted message every time that people are interested in.
I agree 100%. And I have to tell you, you just mentioned your memos. All my listeners, anybody listening to the show right now, should really take the time to go to Chris's website and go through his memos, because I have to tell you, I think I spent an hour taking notes from your memos last week because they were so well written and right on target. I mean, it's a vast amount of information about all different things, whether it be, how to keep your books organized, or I just remember reading the one about the importance of staying on top of the security with your children's cell phones. That was one, right, Chris?
Oh, yes.
I
do a lot of technology consulting, and right, there's so much. Parents are behind their children in technology, and it leaves them helpless when there's a lot that you can do with your cellular carrier, your internet provider at home, to have safeguards to monitor what your kids can and can't do with their phones and their computers at home. So, please, it's all free information. It's not selling anything. It's all effective information for business owners and parents to use anytime they want.
Let's just plug in the website there real quick, Chris.
Sure. It's ChrisWhalenCPA.com, and that's WHALEN. So ChrisWhalenCPA.com.
And then right at the top is it just says memo there, right? Is that how they get to the memos?
Right. I have a menu of items, up there, and one of them simply says memos. and you'll see there are some videos there. There's a lot of Google Drive pages on the link too. Yeah, but if they just go to my website, it's very simple and clear, an uncluttered website, and one of the headings is memos. Click on there, and you'll get a whole pages and pages of memos that are available to you.
Perfect. Okay. And the fifth marketing tip we have, test, and retest everything. Tell us about that.
Well,
I love it.
It's the most, and this came actually from a mentor of mine named George Rademacher. He believes that about everything, especially your marketing strategies, before you expose anything to the public, really take your time and just test it and retest it. Do focus groups. Take some of your favorite customers who you trust and discuss it with them. Take their time. You'll be surprised how much time people will give you if they care about you and, you're asking for help. So before you send a tweet, before you do anything, very often I send my memos to a few trusted people. I say, here, can you take a look at this? And you'll be surprised how often there's a spelling error, or people say, Chris, as a business person, not a CPA, you might want to soften this. So if you have anything you're doing, products or service, any memos you're putting out, take your time. You don't have to rush. People are so urgent today. You can wait a few days and test it until you're sure it's going to be effective.
Perfect. I know you're so right about it. Once it's out there, there's no pulling it back, which is so scary. So I always try to double check before I hit that send button, and I think everybody should. So, Chris, I'm so happy. So we went through that, the third segment. Let's see, we have about 90 seconds left here. When we come back, we're going to talk about your 5 general business tips. And do you want to take a minute just to tell us a little bit about your book, Chris?
Oh, sure. Thanks. I wrote a fathering book. It's called Foxhole Father, The Field Guide for Fathers. It is available on Amazon. And the basic philosophy in the book is that it teaches men how to become the masculine, non-judgmental sanctuary for their children. It is just my accumulated knowledge and insight in raising my 3 daughters for many, many years now on my own. And it's clear, direct advice for men. It's no psychobabble. And it will really give you specific situations and how I suggest to handle them. It's a different kind of philosophy, and it really breeds good relationship with your children instead of very adversarial ones. Just a quick comment. When we were younger, 15 years old, many of us, when we got into trouble, the thought of our parents at that time was also another specter of fear or worry. And that's something that I try to undo. So your children don't have to have that. They can have you as a calm perspective in their head, a strong perspective, but imagine you could give that to your teenager, all the stress we talked about earlier, now instead of when they're in a problem in your absence, they can see you as a calm perspective and have a conversation with you that's pacifying and guides them instead of making them more fearful.
This is great. Well, we're coming up on our break. Thanks for sharing that with us, Chris. When we come back, you'll tell everybody how they can get your book. But stay with us, everyone. We have lots more business tips for you. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with more Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi right after these on TogiNet.com.
Are you ready to start rocking that woohoo that only you do? Because Lisa Stedman is on a mission. She will dare you, challenge you, enlighten you, provoke, and empower you to bring out that inner woohoo. Lisa is an internationally acclaimed best-selling author. She is a breakup expert, a brand consultant, CEO of Woohoo Inc. and the Woohoo Radio Network. She will show you how to take your boohoo and turn it into woohoo. Get rebellious and get real. Get your dreams off the back burner. Get inspired and motivated to take action. Start rocking that woohoo that only you do in love, life, and business. She is going to be here for you every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. Only here on the Woohoo Radio Network.
It's time to uncover the inspired team leader within you. Overcome the challenges of hidden agendas and miscommunications that create stress and a lack of productivity. Project management expert Norm Prevost and connection expert Heather Hansen O'Neill will provide you with a consistent infusion of inspiration and team strategies. In addition, your hosts will invite knowledgeable leaders to inject different viewpoints, situations, and solutions for an all-encompassing perspective on achieving winning team performance. Spend 1 hour each Friday transforming your mindset and increasing your skills. The Inspired Team Leader Show, your path to innovative ideas and action items you can implement today to create a more productive team and feel amazing in your role. The Inspired Team Leader Show, heard every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time on ABRN, the All Business Radio Network.
Welcome back to Paying It Forward, the show dedicated to helping every entrepreneur be more successful as we discuss accomplishments, lessons learned, and sharing those ideas. Now, let's get back to Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi on TogiNet.com.
Well, welcome back, everyone. It's Josephine here. We have Chris Whalen with us. And Chris, before break, you were telling us about your great book. Can you tell my listeners how they can purchase the book if they'd like?
Well, they could just go to Amazon.com and just search for Foxhole Father, 2 words, and the book will come up, and they can, check it out there. And also, the website is foxholefather.com if they want to learn more about me or this writing and more about the book and the derivation of it. So those are the 2 best ways to check it out. And it's a great holiday gift, honestly. Any father in your life, father-to-be, this is an excellent gift for them with real information. Just like I'm talking here, it's effective information, real information from start to finish, over 60,000 words. They're all effective, trust me.
Oh, great. And then, Chris, tell us about your business. Are you looking for new clients, Chris?
I'm always looking for good new clients, yes. I'm, again, a CPA firm and a full-service accounting and tax firm and business consulting firm. I really love what I do. So we service, of course, the United States, and I have international clients. So I'm available to anyone in any state that has any business or accounting or tax question to contact me. I can do work in all 50 states without a problem. So I always give a free consultation to everyone on the phone, or please reach out to me with any question, especially if you're unsure about your current representation from an accounting perspective. If you're not sure you're getting the right representation or your accountant is leaving you unsure, please reach out to me so I can give you my personal assessment about the situation to see if you should be concerned. Just go to my website, chriswhalencpa.com. You'll see my phone number is right there. You can contact me via email, and I promise to get back to you as soon as possible.
Wonderful. Okay, thanks so much for doing that, Chris. We'll move right on to the 5 general business tips, which is how we wrap up our show every week. So number 1, and you have big stars next to this, the most important tip you have to offer here is take untethered time off. Tell us about that.
Well, it's very important that we aren't enslaved to our work. When people feel they're tethered constantly, no matter how far they are from their office, then there really is no personal life anymore. And that really degrades our personal life, our emotions. So every day I take time off where I am electronically not connected to anything. As I said last week, I meditate 2 or 3 times a day. That might be an hour a day total where I will not be disturbed, and it really helps me to feel like a full adult again. It helps me to know that I'm in control, and it helps me to manage the expectations of people. Remember, that's why I said before, do not have email alerts on your phone. It's not like I'm a brain surgeon and I need to rush. So if you manage clients' expectations, then if you do that by getting back immediately, that's what they expect, and that's not a rational way to exist, especially with email. So that's why this is important, to force yourself to go silent, especially 1 day a week. On a Sunday, force yourself to go electronically silent completely, and you'll find it helps me so much. I need to do this every day.
Yeah, it sounds great. It's so funny because after our show last week, I actually did try to meditate yesterday, and it really, really does work. It helps clear your mind, and it's so funny because I wanted my kids to do it with me. So that's on my agenda to do when they have off for the holidays. We're going to sit down and try to do that together as a family because I think the meditation, can help the kids as well. They're constantly running from one place to the next that I'm sure we can all benefit from it. So that's a great tip. All right, let's move on to business tip number 2. After you have fulfilled an order, personal follow-up is important for customer satisfaction. Tell us about that.
Well, even in my tax work, it's interesting. You'd think I did a tax return. It seems to be, just numbers on paper. But there's no greater way, especially with a new customer. Every new customer you get, you fulfill an order. I suggest to personally reaching out to them to make sure they're happy, to make sure things are done on time, not just an automated Amazon type of questionnaire. So I'm looking here, the more you can personally touch someone really with speech, not just text and an email, the amount of loyalty you can build there is immense. That's the main part of that point. Personal follow-up, I still see myself as a merchant from the 1900s, to be honest. I try to remember how did P.T. Barnum want to do it? How did Thomas Edison want to do it? And so I try to use those same personal touching tools. They're still important. That emotional connection, personal touching, with a real phone call, a real handshake, is much more important than an email.
You know what? You make me laugh because I use Amazon as a way to get my orders for glovies, and I have people from all the 50 states buying from me, and every single order that goes out, I always look at it that Amazon helps me get the order, but it's up to me to keep the customer. And on every single order, Chris, you might think I'm crazy, but I put dear and I put the person's first name. Thank you so much for your order. Enjoy your glovies. Warm regards, Josephine Gerasi. I handwrite that on every single order that goes out. And I'll tell you, sometimes I'm so tempted not to do it, but I have to tell you, I get rating 5 out of 5 on my Amazon feedback, and the people haven't even tried the gloves yet. they say, they appreciate that personal connection. So I agree with you. It's super important. People want to buy from, it's all about relationships, I guess. My mentor, David Pinto, always says that. Every time he's on my show, he's always like, people want to buy from friends. So establish that relationship. All right. Business tip number 3. Ingratiate yourself with key personnel at customers, and you call them internal influencers. Tell us about that.
Right. Well, quite often there are gatekeepers at different companies. It could be secretaries. It could be processing people. So I want to get to know them. It depends what you do. But like for me, every legal secretary I deal with is an influencer for me, as well as her boss. It's very important that you realize not only external influencers, but where you're working or customers, if you're dealing with corporations, you want to really get to know the key people who are involved with your account and ordering from you. And I want to get to know them and personally correspond with them to see what I can do to support them ordering from me. So know the people in your organizations besides the main contact, because there's usually a support system around them. Make sure at the holidays that you get these people's names. You're sending them all something, for example. Just a little touch like that. Sometimes they're nameless and faceless. And if you recognize who they are, it really can breed, again, a personal touch with you that can help your orders in the future. You understand?
Absolutely. I think that's so important. And I feel the same way that you do. Every single person in the organization is important. I think of a recent guest who was on my show, and she had said that in order for her to get into this big organization, she said there was no way she was going to be able to get in there and do a sales pitch. She became very friendly with the mail carrier, and the mail carrier actually helped her go through the back door, and she ended up like meeting with the president of the firm, got the account, and her competition could not understand how this woman had gotten the appointment, and it was because she became friendly with the mail carrier. So I agree with you. Okay, let's move on to tip number 4, the general tip. Okay, keep on top of national and international trends. Tell us about that.
Well, too often, clients of mine are just in their bubble and dealing with their processing and their customers, but you really need to take some time and know what's happening in the industry, no matter what it is. What are the trends? And you'll find things move across the country. You could be, like, for example, I set up news alerts for a lot of my clients, right? I want to know certain things happening. Maybe there's something happening in San Francisco with coffee or with plumbing, anything that someone's doing differently. So just take some time to have a global view of what you do, no matter how small you think you are. Set up your news alerts or news feeds on those particular items so at least you get some information there. And look at that every day. Take a minute to look at that, and there might be nothing today, but there might be something interesting. You'll be surprised how many amazing marketing tips you can get from reading about news stories of someone who does what you do in another state that we could easily replicate. So why reinvent the wheel when someone's having great success selling shirts a certain way, or selling legal services, or selling glovies, for example.
I think it's great.
And follow industry influencers on Twitter and blogs. So I want to find the main people in these industries, and I want to read what they're talking about, because they're going to feed me all of these trends and information also. So take some time as part of your marketing to be constantly studying your industry. I've been doing this for a long time. I still consider myself, I'm accounting 101, marketing 101. I'm learning constantly, openly. So everyone should be doing that no matter how long you're doing what you're doing.
Great. And we're going to wrap up the show with the last business tip, which is genuinely care about your customers and staff. Tell us about that.
Well, if you can't do that, if you can't and don't genuinely care about your customers and your staff, then you need to find a different profession where you can do that. And I meet a lot of people who don't really care, and they're going through the motions, and I really wouldn't even take them as clients. So having a real, genuine interest in what you do and caring about the people you're working with, I think that should be part of the quality of life of every job. If you can, especially if you're a business owner. If you're an entrepreneur and you've chosen something and something's not been chosen for you, well, then you have every option to make it a very joyous event for you every day, and genuinely care about the people if you can't genuinely care about your staff and your customers, you should go work in a back room for someone where you never deal with people.
You're so funny.
That's my feeling.
Well, Chris, I have to say I am so grateful for you being a part of Paying It Forward. If anybody wants to get in touch with Chris directly, you can go right to his website, which is www.chriswhalencpa.com. It's spelled Whalen, Whalen. So chriswhalen.com, CPA.com. And Chris, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing a back-to-back show, part 1 and part 2. Thanks for being a part of Paying It Forward, Chris.
Thank you, Josephine. I'm sure we'll be talking again very soon.
Thanks so much, and everyone have a wonderful, productive week, and I'll see you again next week on Paying It Forward. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for being a part of Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi on TogiNet.com. This show is dedicated to helping every entrepreneur be more successful. Each week we'll be discussing accomplishments, lessons,